The path of knowledge is the way to Jannah. The path of knowledge is the way to Jannah. The path of knowledge is the way to Jannah. The path of knowledge is the way to Jannah.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, as-salatu was-salamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya wal Mursaleen, amma ba'd, fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. After praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most gracious, the most merciful, and imploring Him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to shower His infinite blessings, peace and salutations upon the best of the creation, the last of the prophets, the leader of the messengers, the most praised one, the most kind one, the most generous one, and undoubtedly the most beautiful one, none other than our beloved Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam. Also express my warm regards and salutations to every one of you as well, my honorable, respectable elders, dear brothers, sisters, lovable youngsters, students, professionals. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope and pray you all are doing good. May Allah bless you people with all goodness and bestow you all with a blissful life in this world and the hereafter as well. I warmly welcome you all again in this series, The Prophetic Way, in the program Islam and Education. Well, we were discussing with regards to which knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim, and I was elaborating to you what Ameere Ahle Sunnah Daamat Barakatum العالیہ has said, that which knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim in order to fulfill the rights of the Creator and the rights of the creation. So in our previous episode, we discussed the first thing that every Muslim should learn about is the articles of faith. And I also give you a couple of examples, like if you fail to have a sound knowledge in your beliefs, in your creed, or if you adopt any corrupt belief, what can it lead you towards? It can straight away lead you towards blasphemy and towards a person going out of the spectrum of Islam. It's so very sensitive to have sound knowledge about your creed and belief. So we spoke about that in our previous episode, and to continue further, Ameere Ahle Sunnah Daamat Barakatum العالیہ says, secondly, it is compulsory and obligation upon every Muslim to learn obligatory aspects of Salah, its condition, and what renders it void. So basically, in simple words, to learn how to offer namaz. It's really very, very unfortunate that whenever we hear the word namaz, what's the first thing that strikes in our mind? Is that offering 5-time namaz a day is farz and compulsory upon every one of us. No doubt that offering 5-time daily prayers is farz and compulsory upon every one of us, but also learning how to offer namaz is also farz and compulsory upon every one of us. And believe me, I've seen people in abundance who are just heedless in learning how to offer their namaz. They are not aware of their preconditions of namaz, they are not even aware of the obligatory acts of namaz, wajibat of namaz, makruhat-e-tanzihi, tahrimi, mufsidat-e namaz, what actions which invalidate their namaz, and they are just heedlessly offering namaz. I mean, without learning about the preconditions, you cannot even begin your namaz. Without knowing about the obligatory acts of namaz, you cannot validate your namaz. Without knowing about the wajibat of namaz, you cannot complete your namaz. How can you offer? There is no person on the face of this earth, I challenge you, there is no person on the face of this earth without learning about these components and without learning about these aspects of namaz, he cannot offer namaz. I'll give you one example. One of the precondition of namaz is facing towards the Qibla. That is, the direction should be towards the Qibla. Like for example, facing towards the west. So if, for the sake of consideration, if the west is this side, alright, so I have to face this side in order to offer my prayers. Now, if I face towards the east, tell me, will my namaz be valid? Absolutely not, because I have not fulfilled the condition that facing towards the Qibla. If one precondition is not found, your namaz will not be valid. What about the rest of the 5 preconditions? If you are not fulfilling the rest of the 5 preconditions, how can it be that your namaz will be valid? You cannot even begin your namaz. Similarly, you have 7 obligatory acts of namaz. Without fulfilling, you cannot complete your namaz. You have approximately 30 wajibat of namaz. If you do not fulfill those, you cannot complete your namaz. There are so many actions which will invalidate your namaz, which you need to know about. This was one of the logical example. I'll give you one rational example from the Quran. Alright, Quran says, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ تَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنْكَرِ. Quran says, indeed, बेशक नमाज तुम्हें हर बेहयाई और बुराई से रोकेगी. Indeed, namaz will protect you from every transgression and immodesty. But it's really very strange to see today people are offering namaz and they are backbiting. People are offering namaz, they are lying. People are offering namaz, they are slandering, sledging people. Offering namaz and they are committing sins and indulging themselves into evil activities. I mean, how can this be possible? One side, Quran is claiming that it will protect you from immodesty and transgression, and the other side, people are offering namaz and they are indulging themselves into evil activities. नमाज भी पढ़ रहे हैं, झूठ भी बोल रहे हैं, नमाज भी पढ़ रहे हैं, गीबत भी कर रहे हैं, नमाज भी पढ़ रहे हैं, मूवीज़ भी देख रहे हैं, फिल्म्स भी देख रहे हैं, म्यूज़िक भी सुन रहे हैं, नमाज भी पढ़ रहे हैं, लोगों का दिल भी दुखा रहे हैं. How can this be possible? It's absolutely impossible. There are only two things that can happen here. Number one, either the Quran, what is claiming, is false, which is absolutely disbelief. If anyone has this belief that what Quran is claiming is incorrect, then he's out of the fold of Islam. The second possibility is that our namaz is incorrect. And this is the right thing to believe, that our namaz is incorrect. It is absolutely impossible for a person to pray, establish 5-time daily prayers and deliberately indulge himself into evil activities. It cannot happen. So our namaz is incorrect. We need to rectify our namaz. We need to learn about this. And it's so very important. Let me ask you one question, that whatever task we do in this world, we learn that first. हम जो भी काम करते हैं ना इस दुनिया में, सबसे पहले हम सीखते हैं. हमें कार चलाना है, हम सीख के चलाते हैं. हमें कैमरा चलाना है, सीख के चलाते हैं. हमें मोटर बाइक चलाना है, सीख के चलाते हैं. हमें मोबाइल फ़ोन ऑपरेट करना है, लैपटॉप चलाना है, सॉफ्टवेयर सीखना है, सब कुछ सीखते हैं. यहाँ तक कि दुनिया में अगर हमें चाय भी बनाना है ना, वो भी सीखते हैं. What should be the proportion of the water in the tea? What should be the proportion of the tea powder? What should be the proportion of the sugar and water? How much to boil that and how much to keep that on fire? Like सब चीज़ें सीख करके करते हैं हम इस दुनिया में. लेकिन मैं आपको एक बात बताता हूँ, एक चीज़ ऐसी भी है दुनिया में जो हम बगैर सीखे करते हैं. Most of the people I'm talking about. एक चीज़ ऐसी है जो हम बगैर सीखे करते हैं, और वो है नमाज. Absolutely. Think about it. Ask yourself this question. आप अपने लिए सोचें, मैं अपने लिए सोचता हूँ. Ask this question to your own self with all sincerity and honesty. हम किसके पास नमाज सीखें? Whom did we learn नमाज from? बचपन से देखा अब्बा सजदा कर रहे हैं, चाचा रुकू कर रहे हैं, लोग वुज़ू कर रहे हैं, वही देखा और सीख लिया. That's the reason we are not able to protect ourselves from evil activities. It's compulsory upon every one of us to learn namaz. And let me tell you that it is so very risky thing to offer namaz without learning, that your namaz will actually sever your faith if you are not offering it right. I'll tell you one narration in which Hazrat Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi ta'ala narrates this. Hazrat Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi ta'ala says that once a companion of a beloved Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, Hazrat Huzaifa bin Yaman radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, was just crossing by a road and he saw a person offering namaz. And that person was not fulfilling the components and the aspects and obligatory acts of namaz. And then Hazrat Huzaifa bin Yaman radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu went to that person and asked him that, since how many years are you offering this namaz? He said 40 years. And then he said that if you die in the same state of offering namaz that you are offering now, you will not die on the path and the teachings of beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You will die a bad ending. And Imam Nisai, stating the same narration, says that when he was passing by and when he saw that person offering namaz, he asked that, since when are you offering this namaz? He said 40 years. Hazrat Huzaifa bin Yaman radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu said, since 40 years you have not offered even a single cycle of namaz. 40 saal se tumne namaz padai nahi. That is how risky it is. And you know, one prophetic narration I'll tell you, it is really soul trembling. Alright. Once a beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a person who offers namaz without fulfilling the components of namaz, without fulfilling the obligatory acts of namaz, that namaz curses that namazi and says that, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroy you in the same way as you has distorted me. वो नमाज उस नमाजी को बदुआ देती है कि अल्लाह तबारक व तआला तुझे बर्बाद कर दे जिस तरह तूने मुझे बर्बाद किया. And then that namaz is bundled up like an old cloth and will be flung and thrown away on the day of judgment on the face of that namazi. وہ نماز قیامت کے دن پرانے کپڑے کی طرح لپیٹ کر کے اس نمازی کے منہ پر مار دی جائے گی. Even now, this narration also give us a sense of reflection that we need to offer namaz correctly. So it's not only offering 5-time daily prayers is farz and compulsory upon every one of us, but also to learn how to offer namaz is also farz and compulsory upon every one of us. Thirdly, Ameere Ahle Sunnah Damat Barakatum 𝐻𝐼 says, when Ramzan arrives, upon whomsoever fasting is compulsory must learn necessary rulings regarding it. So the same rule applies here as well. It's not only fasting that is farz and compulsory upon every one of us, but also to learn the rulings of fasting is also farz and compulsory upon every one of us. Like for example, what is the ruling of vomiting in fasting? What if that vomiting is voluntary done? Or what if that vomiting is involuntary or incidentally happened? Does it require any compensation or expiation? Or is it just forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Likewise, what is the ruling of a thick dust reaching our throat whilst fasting? Will that invalidate a fast? Likewise, what is the ruling of taking fluid enema whilst fasting? Will that invalidate a fast? Likewise, what is the ruling of taking water steam or using inhalers whilst fasting? Will that invalidate a fast? Likewise, what is the ruling of using eye drops, nose drops, ears drops, or taking vein drippings whilst fasting? Will these consumptions invalidate a fast? Likewise, what is the ruling of intravenous injections or intermuscular injections? Will these injections invalidate a fast? These are some rulings which is very, very necessary for every one of us to know. If something happens, we call some people of knowledge and ask them that this is what has happened to me, and is my fasting still valid or it has become invalid? And then we get the answer that it has become an invalid. So this is why we need to know what are the actions or what are the consumptions which actually make our fasting invalid, so that we can protect our fasting to make it invalid. So it is very necessary for us to know about the rulings of fasting. So this is why it is important for every one of us to know about the rulings of fasting, because after committing some action, we call up someone and ask them that, is my fast valid or has it gone invalid? And then we get the answer sometimes that it has gone invalid. And then we realize that, oh, I lost my fasting. So it shouldn't happen. We are obliged and we are mandated to learn about the rulings of fasting, all right? So fourthly, Ameere Ahle Sunnah Damat Barakatum 𝐻𝐼 says, acquiring knowledge about the rulings of zakat upon whomsoever zakat is farz and compulsory. Again, upon whomsoever zakat is farz and compulsory, it is also farz upon them to learn the mechanism of zakat in Islam. Believe me, I've seen elite class people, business class people, and economy class people. They are not even aware of the nisab date of their zakat, when to remove zakat, when did they reach the threshold of the zakat. And even you might have witnessed this in the month of Ramzan. You might have seen people in abundance who remove their zakat in the month of Ramzan. And if you just ask them a question, sir, why do you remove your zakat in the month of Ramzan? Islam doesn't have any concept of removing your zakat in the month of Ramzan. If you just ask them, not with an intention to belittle them or disparage them or to insult them or to check or test their knowledge, no. Just to rectify them with a good intention, to make them correct if they are going wrong. With kindness, humbleness and gentleness, just ask this question, so why do you remove your zakat in the month of Ramzan? Islam doesn't have any concept of removing your zakat in the month of Ramzan. In fact, if you reach the threshold of nisab in the month of Rajab, and if you deliberately delay until the month of Ramzan, you will be held accountable and sinful for it. Yes, अगर आपके ऊपर रजब में ज़कात फ़र्ज़ हो रही है रजब की कोई तारीख में, और आप जानबूझ के डिले करते हैं until the month of Ramzan, you will be held accountable and sinful for it. Most of the people are not aware of this ruling. People say that just to gain more reward, ज़्यादा सवाब कमाने के लिए we'll remove it in the month of Ramzan. Forget about reward, forget about sawab. You will be sinful for it if you deliberately delay until the month of Ramzan. क्योंकि इस्लाम में सिर्फ फ़र्ज को तर्क करना गुनाह नहीं है, फ़र्ज की अदायगी में ताख़ीर करना भी गुनाह है. So if you have reached your month, your date in the month of Rajab or Rabiul Awwal, and if you deliberately delay until the month of Ramzan, you will be held accountable and sinful for it. So if anyone asks you that why do you remove your zakat in the month of Ramzan, maybe if your son, your daughter, your any family member asks this question to you, why do you remove your zakat in the month of Ramzan? What answer would we give them? There might be only two answers that we might have, that our ancestors or our forefathers do this, that removing zakat in the month of Ramzan, and we are following the same thing. Or the second might be that in the society, 90% of the people are removing that in the month of Ramzan and we are doing the same. Remember, Islam doesn't follow traditions or rituals or customs as far as it is not aligning to the laws of Islam. If it is contradicting to the laws of Islam, Islam doesn't follow any traditions or any customs or rituals. Islam only follows Quran and Sunnah and the prophetic teaching. And Quran and Sunnah, it says that zakat should be removed in the month on that particular day on which day zakat has been made farz upon you. So deliberately delaying your zakat until the month of Ramzan is absolutely sinful. So it is farz and compulsory upon every one of us to learn the mechanism of how to calculate zakat in Islam and how to know the nisab date on which day do we have to give and remove our zakat. Similarly, Ameere Ahle Sunnah Daamat برکاتہم العالیہ says, learning about the rulings of pilgrimage upon whomsoever Hajj is farz and compulsory. So again, it is not only to perform pilgrimage is farz upon us, upon whomsoever who has the istita'at, it is also farz and compulsory to know about the rulings of pilgrimage. Believe me, I have some few friends who are the volunteers and who deploy their tents on the airport so that they can greet and they can wish and take some blessings from the pilgrims who are traveling towards pilgrimage. One of my friends was just telling me that one person came on the airport near their tent, and he was asking that volunteer, can you please teach me how to wear a ihram? What did he say? Can you please teach me how to wear a ihram? Now tell me, a person who is just ignorant and don't even know to wear a ihram, how will he follow the limitations and restrictions after wearing a ihram? And how will he fulfill the customs, the rituals and the traditions that has to be followed during the pilgrimage? How is he going to complete the pilgrimage? Or a person who do not even know to wear a ihram, how is he going to fulfill the obligatory acts of pilgrimage? It's absolutely impossible. So it's not only performing pilgrimage is compulsory, but also to learn about the rulings of pilgrimage is also farz and compulsory upon every one of us. So these were the 5 pillars of Islam and the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which we need to know about and learn and acquire knowledge in order to fulfill these rights. And apart from these, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has some more rights upon His bondsmen, like for example, sincerity, truthfulness. We need to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with sincerity, khulus और इखलास के साथ उसकी इबादत करना, trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, उसकी ज़ात पर तवक्कुल रखना, contentment with the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, उसकी रिज़ा पे राज़ी रहना. May He have kept you in tribulation, or may He have kept you in hardship, or He has given you a pleasant life. Every single thing, वो जिस situation में Allah तबारक व तआला ने हमें रखा है, we need to be content with His decree and His distribution. Enjoining good and forbidding evil, लोगों को नेकी की दावत देना, बुराइयों से मना करना, खुद भी गुनाहों से बचना और दूसरों को भी गुनाहों से बचाने की कोशिश करना. So these were the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and of course I have not covered the entire part of it. There are some more rights which we need to study, and I would recommend you to please refer to the literature of Dawat Islami, where you can discover more rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and an easy way to fulfill them as well. Now coming towards hukukul ibad, there are some rights of the creation as well upon every one of us. Like for example, if you are a spouse, you need to know about the rights of your spouse. Like if you are a husband, you need to learn about the rights of your wife. If you are a wife, you need to learn about the rights of your husband. Likewise, if you are a parent, you need to know about the rights your offspring owe upon you. Like what should be taught to your children, how to raise them up, how to upbring them, how to nurture them, what to teach them. What are their rights that parents have to fulfill? You need to know about that. If you are an offspring, you need to learn about the rights that your parents owe upon you. If you are a sibling, relative, neighbor, you need to learn about those rights as well. Likewise, if you want to commence a business, if you are a business partner, you need to learn about the rights of your partner that he or she owe upon you. If you are an employee, you need to know about the rights of your employer. If you're an employer, you need to know about the rights of your employee. So based on your position, profession, or any responsibility that you have, based on that, it is necessary upon you to fulfill the rights of the creation. Alright, so this was a brief overview on what are the rights of the Creator and the rights of the creation that we need to fulfill. And in order to fulfill these rights, what is the knowledge that is required for every one of us? Well, this program come to a concluding stage. Let me tell you that this program was not designed to teach the Farz Ulum, that is the obligatory knowledge, but rather it was just designed to make us realize that what is the importance of education in Islam, and how it is detrimental and how hazardous it is for ourselves to keep us ignorant about the religious affairs. So I hope this program was useful and informative for you. And I hope that you can also learn and act upon whatever we have heard. You can use the platform of Dawat Islami. Dawat Islami is one of the best platforms to seek education. Like, we have physical courses as well. Like, for brothers, we have 63 days First Ulum course, where you can learn all these rights of the Creator and the rights of the creation. You can contact to nearest Faizan-e-Madina or any of our volunteer so that you can get the information of that course. And for sisters, we have Jamiatul Madina Lil Banat, where you can learn the First Ulum course. And if you cannot come physically to our education institutions, we have our presence on virtual platform as well. We have our own online academy, that is Garib Nawaz Online Academy, where we offer multiple courses to all our viewers and our lovers, wherein you can opt for those courses, whichever is necessary and required for you. And the best thing is that you can choose your own time, that which convenient time is suitable for you to take up that course, and you will be provided one personal tutor for that course to teach you, inshallah. So I hope that you would register yourself in GNOA, and also, if possible, then do this course physically in our education institutions. So till then, thank you very much for your patience, your presence watching these episodes. We shall meet you very soon with some new content and exciting episodes and series, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our efforts in doing this program and you watching this program, and may this become a path of salvation for every one of us in this world and the hereafter as well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us steadfastness in our religion on walking on the righteous path, inshallah. So keep watching FGN channel and do not forget to subscribe it as well. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam.
The path of knowledge is the way to Jannah. The path of knowledge is the way to Jannah. The path of knowledge is the way to Jannah. The path of knowledge is the way to